So one thing that we've heard in our schema story interview with Mike Arnesen, but then also in some other conversations with Aaron Bradley and about semantic analytics. And I know you spend a lot of time kind of thinking about semantic analytics. Can you talk a bit about sort of what you're excited about or sort of where you see the possibility there?
Yeah, so it's an interesting area. So primarily it's kind of let's make Google Analytics let's take Google Analytics and kind of extend it with your data. So right now it's kind of an almost completely anonymous data, talking about like generic concepts that every website has. Like it's a user has certain characteristics like their location or maybe what application they're using to browse it or what phone or whatever. And then there's like the sessions and the length of things, what pages they went to. That's all generic stuff. So semantic analytics is taking basically that semantic data or that structured data in schema.org primarily is what we're talking about, and injecting that into Google Analytics so that you start having a more rich description of the things that are driving revenue or like keeping people's attention or have more social share. Whatever your goals are, you can start dissecting. In the world of publishing or news, you can start dissecting, reports based on the author. Like obviously you'd want an author like to be able to have that type of report in Google Analytics, but they don't make it available or out of the box. So how do you start customizing maybe also for the categories of pages or posts, or how do you customize for the keywords or length of blog posts? Wouldn't it be interesting to see at what point of a blog length does it have a material impact on the success of that campaign? So does it require 1,200 words and compared to 800 words? What are the kind of comparisons there? All sorts of different things that are made available from schema.org. As long as you have that in your markup, you can now bring that into Google Analytics and create a lot of custom reports based on like your business data, which has been missing. So there are ways to get around that in the years past, but I'm really excited about providing that super simply. So you just can kind of state, or as you're onboarding with Schema app in the next several weeks, if you're into e-commerce or if you're into the content industry, you get a bunch of data that can come from your website automatically and through Schema app into Google Analytics so that you can start dissecting. And then products in that world, like you can start, you can think about all the different reports you can generate on your reports, such as like, segment by the color of your widgets, or segment by, the price, or by the manufacturer, or whether or not, there's a video associated, or whether or not there's like more than 10 images. Like there's lots of different ways you can slice the data so that you can better inform your future product marketing. And so I'm just excited of the possibility of how simple this can be for users and for marketers, so that they can just, with the click of a button, maybe 5 minutes of time, they can then have all these reports readily available in analytics. So making it available to the public means you're also making it available for other types of new use cases that have yet to emerge. And with the Internet of Things, I think there's opportunity. Like galore in that space as well, because again, it's a common vocabulary. You don't have to map any of the concepts. So yeah, it's an exciting time just with all those extra uses, and it all started with a rich snippet for a recipe.
Excellent. And what else do you use it for? So it's for search, but I know you've been sort of a thought leader around sort of semantic analytics. Can you give us some more detail on sort of how maybe some of the things that you're playing with about how it can be used differently and sort of for different intelligence or different insights for a client?
Yeah, and the idea of semantic analytics, essentially taking your semantic markup data and joining that with your analytics data, isn't a unique thing really by any means, but it's kind of bridging the gap between two disciplines. Really, like you can have an SEO who is really great at semantic markup and just SEO in general, and doesn't really have a good solid competency in analytics, and that's fine actually. And you can have an analytics expert who can go through a site and like tag everything, set up all the data, like for Google's enhanced e-commerce features. Like there's so much data layered in there that perfectly overlaps with stuff we do on the semantic side. And this actually, the idea really kind of spawned as I was in an agency setting prior to the one I'm at now, where we had an analytics team that did their own thing, and then an SEO team that did their own independent thing. And we didn't really talk as much as we should have or could have together.
Yeah.
And I was realizing, like, the analytics team is putting all of this code on the site to say, like, okay, what's the name of the product? What's the price of the product? And that's just going straight into Google Analytics. And then on the other side, we're doing all this work to put it in that same exact data, but in schema.org, microdata format. And so why not bring the two together? So semantic analytics is about bridging that divide and kind of just being aware that, you know, there's value on both sides. You have this central core bundle of data, and you want to be able to use it ideally for both search and analytics. So it's all about bringing those two together.